Hi there, students. Okay, here we have a writing for Cambridge Proficiency, the CPE. This is at level C2. So here's the question. Your English language reading group has asked members to write an article about relationships in novels. You decide to write an article about relationships in the novel you have read. Okay. This article was written by Roland Simon. So, I would opt for John Steinbeck's poignant novel, The Grapes of Wrath, which perfectly illustrates the discordant relationship between immigrants and native people. His book touched a sensitive part of society, and authorities could not stand the naked truth and banned his novel in many states of the US. Okay, so I would opt for, good verb to opt for, and poignant's a good word, which perfectly illustrates the discordant relationship between immigrants and native people. So first thing, people is probably redundant because immigrant and native, these are both people. But I'm not very happy with this word native because I think native people, particularly in the USA, is talking about American Indians. Yeah? And therefore, I think maybe, and locals, or local people. So let me put this in capitals. And between immigrants and local people. I might just lose that people and locals, immigrants and locals, because here the locals are the people who live in the area. His book touched a sensitive part of society. Okay, a sensitive. You could use part and there's nothing wrong with it. Try the word nerve. Very often this is a common collocation, to touch a sensitive nerve of society. And authorities, okay, it's perfectly fine without the. I think I might put the authorities, but authorities without the is perfectly good. Could not stand the naked truth, good phrase, and banned this novel in many of the states of the US. Let's just make it shorter. Many US states. Like that you can save a couple of words. Okay, that's a very nice introduction. It's a good introductory sentence. I think the only thing that needs changing is this word natives. The other changes I've made are just to improve it. This novel takes place during the Great Depression. Okay, so let's join these two together. The main character of the novel is the Joad family. Okay, so this novel takes place during the Great Depression. And the main character. So I've got a question. Is the Joad family? The Joad family clearly is not one character. And maybe, and the novel focuses on the Joad family. The main. So instead of character, I'm going to use focus. The main focus of the novel is the Joad family. The notorious Dust Bowl, the historical choking dust storm. Okay, the notorious Dust Bowl. Okay, the historical choking dust storm. I think I might use a, although you probably could use the. So the notorious Dust Bowl, adding information, annihilated crops and perished livestock. Okay, to perish needs to be used the other way round. Something perishes, a person perishes, a plant perishes, and livestock. You could use it in the plural, although I think I might use it generally. And livestock perished. Annihilated crops and livestock perished. And I think I would use this as one word as well. And livestock perished, leaving many farmers bereft of their mere source of income. Their mere source of income. Okay, you could certainly use mere. Mere means not very much. They're mere, let's use another word here, their mere sole source of income. Okay, so the notorious Dust Bowl, a historical choking dust storm, annihilated crops and livestock perished, leaving many farmers bereft of their mere sole source of income. Okay, I think I would I would use a semicolon here. And then this included the Joad family. Who thereby set off in the hope of finding jobs somewhere else. Their sole source of income. This included the Joad family, who thereby set off in the hope of finding jobs somewhere else. Okay, so notice you've done all of this in the past so far. So California appeared to be a promising land. You can't do that. A promising land, by virtue of the fact that there workers were needed for California appeared to be a promising land by virtue of the fact the fact that workers were needed for harvesting. Okay, let's put an adverb here. Desperately needed for harvesting. California appeared to be a promising land by virtue of the fact that workers were desperately needed for harvesting. The overwhelming majority of immigrants. Okay, you've gone into the singular here, into the present here. So let's see the novel. Let me go back to the beginning again, or to here. The novel takes place during the Great Depression, and the main focus of the novel is the Joad family. Okay, it's this ED. So the notorious Dust Bowl annihilates crops and livestock perishes, leaving many farmers bereft of their mere sole source of income. This includes the Joad family, who thereby set off in the hope of finding jobs somewhere else. Okay, you're going to use it in the present. Appears. California appears to be a promising land by virtue of the fact that workers are desperately needed for harvesting. The overwhelming majority of immigrants come from Oklahoma. And let's join these two again. Comma. But little do the Okies know how deeply prejudice is ingrained in society. Good. Okay, so like that, we just put a comma here and we can join those two sentences. When you've got two sentences like that, if they're quite short like this, the overwhelming majority of immigrants come from Oklahoma. But little do the Okies know how deeply prejudice is ingrained in society. So, in, perfectly good. Within, just makes it look better. W-I-T-H, within society. So, being the constant target of mockery. Sorry. Being the constant target of mockery. I think I would prefer to being of, no of. Oh dear. So being a constant target of mockery is a bitter pill to swallow for them. Chasing the elusive American dream while they are chasing the elusive American dream. By dint of the economic mayhem, I think I'm going to add something. At the time, decent jobs are thin on the ground. Good, I like this phrase, thin on the ground. Are thin on the ground. Therein lies the vexing problem. And to make matters worse, the avaricious landowners take advantage of the seasonal workers. So, by dint of the economic mayhem at the time, decent jobs are thin on the ground. I'm going to put the and here, and therein lies the vexing problem for everyone. And then we take out this and I think I'm going to put a semicolon here as well. Whoops. To make matters worse, the avaricious landowners take advantage of the seasonal workers. Okay, we could have a "the" here. It's not wrong. I'm just going to take it out. Take advantage of seasonal workers. Nevertheless, the Joad family makes frantic efforts to break out of the constriction of their living conditions by all means. Okay, we want to add something here as well. By all possible means. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, nevertheless, I like this nevertheless. It's a good word and it joins it quite nicely. The Joad family makes frantic efforts to break out of the constriction of their living conditions by all possible means. Okay. Break out of the constriction. Yeah, it works quite well. to break out of makes frantic efforts to break out of their constricting living conditions. No, it works like this. Seeing the adamant workers stand up for each other. I think I'm going to probably put seeing the adamant workers stand for each other and uphold their right to a better wage and living conditions. The landowners consider their actions as a serious menace. By all intents and purposes, the violence lies beneath the surface. So, definitely no thee for violence. Yeah, love, money, environment, envy, jealousy, not with a thee. Okay, so seeing the adamant workers, I'm going to make this an ing, standing up, to stand up for. Seeing the adamant workers standing up for each other and upholding their rights to a better wage and living conditions. So let's make this plural. To better wages and living conditions. Seeing the adamant workers standing up for each other and upholding their right to better wages and living conditions, the landowners consider their actions as a serious menace. By all intents and purposes, I probably would say, and to all intents and purposes, violence lies beneath the surface. Okay, yeah. That reads quite nicely now. The author championed the concept of living in a phalanx where people work together peacefully. I like your use of the phalanx. The author championed the concept of living in a phalanx where people work together peacefully. The novel gives a perceptive insight for the readers. So, instead of this, the novel gives readers a notice. We put one word and reduced it, and reduced the length. The novel gives readers a perceptive insight into the quotidian struggle of the influx of immigrants in California during the 1930s. So notice this change I've made here, it just makes it read more easily, but there was certainly no mistake. Here, local people stigmatize, for S or Z, I can never tell. Stigmatize. Okay, I'm going to leave it with an S. So, let's see. The local people stigmatize the new arrivals horribly. So I think I would probably just change the order. Local people stigmatize the new arrivals and treat them horribly. It just reads better like that. They are afraid of strangers whom they believe threaten their identity and may steal their work. Their insecurities manifest in covert hatred. I like the way you've joined this. This is much better. Yeah? If you'd put a full stop here, it would have been... it would have lost cohesion. The semicolon makes it read much better. The predicament of the Joad family resonates with today's plight of refugees. Okay, So the predicament of the Joad family resonates with today's plight of refugees. Okay, resonates with the plight of today's refugees. It just reads better like that. The predicament of the Joad family resonates with the plight of today's refugees. And we got an inversion as well. Not only do immigrants have to put up with harsh living conditions, but also they are exploited for selfish reasons. In conclusion, good. It is a great book based on historical events, so if it's events which unveil the difficult relationship between would sound much better, between the two distinct groups of society. The calamity lays bare, the truth lays bare the true nature of human beings. The calamity lays bare the true nature of human beings. And that's it. Okay, this essay is certainly better than your last one, Roland. Okay, so you have to write, the question asks about relationships. So, do you talk about relationships? Very definitely. You answer the question. I think first the relationship between the authorities and the author, and then you give the reasons why they come, but then you talk about the prejudice within society, a target of mockery, avaricious landowners. This definitely answers the question very well. The cohesion and cohesiveness of this writing is much, much better than the last one. Yeah, you've avoided this joining of two short sentences with a full stop. Yeah, and that reads much better. You've got, as always, a great selection of vocabulary: quotidian, influx, manifest, covert, predicament, resonate. Yeah, and so as to grammatical constructions, not only do immigrants, an inversion, that's quite good. Also, you've got both compound and complex sentences. Yeah, the compound, and treat them horribly. Okay, and you've got complex ones as well. Some of these longer ones are definitely complex sentences. So I think overall this is a very good essay. You've got passages in it as well which people like. One thing that you might also consider trying to include in your essays, to make them look good, is some sort of conditionals. Yeah, if you could try using a good conditional sentence, perhaps with an inversion in if, this would also add to the grammatical range that you're using. It reads very nicely. I think this is a very good essay. Well done.